Hi there. If one wants to improve in chess, I have said it a few times before, the best way to do that, or one of the best ways to do that, is to improve your endgame. This is an endgame that I have had just earlier, an hour or so ago, in a 3-minute game of chess where I am black. My opponent has just played bishop e2 and is wanting to swap off of all the rooks and hopefully the queen as well, and thereby under normal circumstances white would have a good bishop versus a not so good bishop of mine, which is the bishop on e6 for me. So I have to be careful of this, and I actually have to be aware of this, and I have to realize that I've probably got a lost position. Even though our pawns are very much the same, my 1d5 pawn has to be defended even now by the bishop or the queen, whichever one you want to look at. White has a b4 pawn that can go right up to b6, and there also start nibbling away at the b7 pawn of black's, which is my pawn. If the rooks and the queens come off, then I prefer white's position way better if white plays it correctly. Here we begin with this position, so if you want to have a look at any other positions as well, I don't want to distract you from this, but if you want to have a look at other chess positions that I've brought to you, then they are under the video tab of this chess channel. I really appreciate you watching, so here we go. Let's have a look at this continuation after 23 bishop e2. Already at move 23, we're entering into major endgame territory with rook f6, and then I played rook f6 and my opponent went now rook f1. Now, if my opponent knows what they're doing, they should win this position, especially with my pawn on d5 for my bishop, which is no good. h4, hoping to still checkmate white. I'm very keen. h4 is met with rook f6, or rook takes f6, gf6. I do not want to play queen f6 here, as then my opponent may play queen takes queen, and my pawns are worse than white's pawns already, as well as my opponent would be able to play their king to d4 eventually, a wee bit of a wriggle, and thereby I have to defend my d5 pawn at least, something like that. So I don't want to remove the queens off because I'm going to have a bad light squared bishop versus a good light squared bishop. So I play gf6, queen f5 with obvious threat of if queen h4, white will soon succumb to my checks on b1 and further. So here came h3, giving the king a luft, and if I had my queen on g3, I could opt to play queen g3 to queen e1 and g3 e1 perpetual check, but I don't have my queen on g3. So I play it to g5. Maybe I've got that idea in mind, and maybe that's quite a good idea. Now came what I would call, or what the computer would probably call, a mistake. This is a mistake, or it might even be a blunder, especially with the next two moves that white plays. Here white has, I think, a 1 position. However, if I do get queen g3 to queen e1, queen g3 check, queen e1, queen g3 check, 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 then I probably might take that. But here my opponent makes a big error, at least in judgment, and I pick up on it. I do not think, well, I'll give you a chance by playing f5 after this move, bishop g4. Here, white's position probably has gone, if the computer was looking at it, from a plus to minus, especially after queen g4. Then I've got just an easy king and pawn endgame now. It's easy to play because all I have to do is stop the pawns from marching to the other side and becoming queens. So that's easy peasy for me even at this age. I played queen g4, king here, now attacking the g4 pawn, which requires white to defend it. I'm not saying that my moves are the best moves on the planet, but they worked in this case. I now played b5, now slowing down white's pawn moves. And here came if g3, then I'm just going to go h3. Here comes e4. I probably can just take de4 and king g4, etc. But I chose d4. Now, white is in zugzwang. And why is that? Because if this king now goes here, then I go king f4, possibly, as this pawn's going to capture the g4 pawn if it starts to march. And thereby the king will move here, okay, of white, and then I just side sweep here, defend this pawn, and attack this pawn, and the king has to move eventually, even though white has still got move g3 or g5. Both those moves are rather senseless or no good, or that sort of thing. So white would be in zugzwang, and is, as far as I'm concerned, already in zugzwang, because it's just like drafts or checkers now. I'm just going to be able to pick up the pawns, and then I should be able to march one. So what happens now is after d4, my opponent went g3, and I play h3 now. And these are two pawns now, are both racing, and I still have to be sensible. I can't be, ridiculous and just think like the tortoise and the hare. Oh, I've got this one, or the turtle and the rabbit. I've got this one, I can go to sleep now. I still have to stay awake. I don't have to necessarily stay awake, but you get what I'm saying. I still have to think carefully about not throwing it away, not losing the race all of a sudden. King f2, rather sad really, and here's king g4. My opponent resigned though. My opponent resigned with 0.75 of a second left on their clock. So that demonstrates the importance of endgame. I have seen a young person from the North Island of New Zealand, no names of course, at the South Island Championships, knowing all and a lot about the endgames. I was very, very impressed. And this person is under 10, or it might be 11 or 10, or maybe even 12, but this person was remarkable in their endgame knowledge, because their president of the chess club that this young person attends is coaching them, nothing else, but you know it, and I've said it enough here now. Endgames are so important. So that's me over and out. I hope you have a good experience with this video, and thank you very, very much for watching it. Bye for now.